Club Run was an informal name for aircraft supply operations to the besieged island of Malta during the Second World War. Malta was the object of determined Axis attempts from 1941–1942 to either force the British military authorities to surrender or to destroy its effectiveness as a military base. The island's significance was as a forward base from which Axis supplies to the North African armies could be attacked. It is a measure of Malta's importance that Britain reassigned fighter aircraft from home defense. Club runs were covered by Force H based at Gibraltar, consisting of the battlecruiser HMS Renown, aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal, light cruiser HMS Sheffield and the F-class destroyers of the 8th Flotilla. Its Mediterranean operations were called club runs. It was deemed to be an exclusive club of the most efficient warships in the Royal Navy. A mythical regimental tie was designed for members of the club, consisting of a Mediterranean grey field scattered with raspberries. Malta's air defences were essential and aircraft reinforcements and replacements were a constant need. Fighters and torpedo bombers were required, but they lacked the range to fly direct from the British base at Gibraltar. The solution was for aircraft carriers to move within range and then fly off fighters to land at a Maltese airfield. At the outbreak of war, the opinion of the Chiefs of Staff was that in Malta was indefensible, and this view was supported by a later review that stated, "There is nothing practicable that we can do to increase the powers of resistance of Malta." Winston Churchill disagreed. In July 1940, he insisted that Hurricanes be flown in at the earliest moment. This led to the first club run, Operation Hurry, using the old carrier HMS Argus. The Axis air forces developed measures to counter the club runs, attacking the aircraft while in transit and catching them on the ground before they could be armed and refueled. 40 of the Spitfires delivered by the United States Navy carrier Wasp were destroyed on the ground, but in the following operation the Luftwaffe were outwitted and British fighters were airborne and ready for their opponents. In the turn, the carriers became prime targets and required more heavily protected and complex operations to ensure success. Despite this, the British carrier HMS Ark Royal was sunk and the American carrier Wasp was loaned for club runs in April and May 1942. Aircraft losses over Malta were such that the replenishment club runs became a constant conveyor belt of aircraft ferried to Gibraltar, where they were transferred to carriers for flying off, while more were ferried from Britain. Additional capacity was created by transporting aircraft in crates and assembling them at Gibraltar or on board carriers. In this way, one ferry run from Britain would deliver enough aircraft for 2 flying-off operations. From early 1942, Spitfires were necessary to counter the more modern German fighters that outclassed the robust but outdated Hurricanes. On several occasions there were faults with the external fuel tanks that were needed to give the required range. As a result, 2 club runs were aborted and had to be repeated after modifications at Gibraltar. Calendar delivered inadequately prepared aircraft that fell prey to bombing on Malta, and Bowery's 64 Spitfires required adaptations to the external fuel tanks while on board Wasp. The failure to rectify a fault over several deliveries for a critical purpose in hazardous circumstances is unexplained but was described as embarrassing. From October 1942, modified Spitfire MKVCs with additional internal and external fuel tanks and most armament removed were capable of flying the 1,100 miles from Gibraltar to Malta. The modifications were reversed in Malta. This removed the need for club runs. List of club run operations. August 1940, Operation Hurry, 12 Hurricanes flown off HMS Argus. November 1940 Operation Coat off HMS Ark Royal 3 full MUS for HMS Illustrious. November 1940 Operation White 12 Hurricanes flown off Argus, 8 lost en route after running out of fuel. April 1941 Operation Winch 12 Hurricane Eyes flown off Ark Royal. April 1941 Operation Dunlop 22 Hurricanes flown off Ark Royal. May 1941 Operation Splice 48 Hurricane Eyes flown off Furious and Ark Royal. June 1941 Operation Rocket 35 Hurricane Eyes flown off Furious and Ark Royal. June 1941 Operation Tracer HMS Ark Royal and Victorious flew off 47 Hurricanes to Malta. June 1941 Operation Railway Eye 22 Hurricanes flown off Ark Royal. June 1941 Operation Railway 2 35 Hurricanes off Ark Royal and Furious. September 1941 Operation Status Eye 26 Hurricanes flown off Ark Royal. September 1941 Operation Status 2 46 Hurricanes flown off Ark Royal and Furious. October 1941 Operation Callboy 11 Albicos and 2 Swordfish flown off Ark Royal. November 1941 Operation Perpetual 37 Hurricanes flown off Ark Royal and Argus. February 1942 Operation Spotter Eye 15 Spitfire MKVBs off HMS Eagle. Operation was aborted due to fuel tank fault on the Spitfires and the carrier arrived back in Gibraltar on the 28th of February. March 1942 Operation Spotter 2 the 15 repaired Spitfire MKVBs flown off Eagle on the 7th of March. March 1942 Operation Picket Eye 9 Spitfires off Eagle aborted due to fuel tank fault. March 1942 Operation Picket 2 7 Spitfires flown off Eagle and Argus, 6 Albicos unable to fly off Argus. April 1942 Operation Calendar 48 Spitfires flown off from US Wasp. May 1942 Operation Bowery 64 Spitfires flown off US Wasp and HMS Eagle. May 1942 Operation Pound 17 Spitfires flown off Eagle, 6 Albicos again failed to fly off. June 1942 Operation Style 32 Spitfires flown off HMS Eagle, 28 of them arrived safely, 4 shot down en route. June 1942 Operation Salient 32 Spitfires from HMS Eagle. June 1942 Operation Pinpoint 31 Spitfires flown off Eagle. July 1942 Operation Insect 28 Spitfires flown off Eagle. August 1942 Operation Bellows 39 Spitfires flown off Furious. August 1942 Operation Baritone 32 Spitfires flown off Furious. October 1942 Operation Train 29 Spitfires flown off Furious. Carrot on the return leg, Ark Royal was torpedoed by U-81 and sank a day later. Perpetual to cancel. Carrot most of these aircraft were destroyed on the ground by bombing.